I am Marcus James Dixon with Gold Derby, and we would like to welcome Steve Newburn to our film, hair, and makeup panel for Bleecker Street's Sasquatch Sunset. And I see you've invited a guest behind you, Steve. What can you tell us about that bust?
That's Jesse, Jesse Eisenberg. Um, yeah, we just threw one together for the shop. I mean, he's one of our favorite characters we've done. So
Yeah. And how do you go about, I guess what is step one when you're doing a movie where all of your characters are head to toe, makeup, hair? What is your first step in the process?
well, this one was a bit of a it was a bit different from our usual process. Just that it came up during COVID and kind of at the height of it. And everybody thought, hey, it's the perfect movie to shoot during COVID. It'll be outside and we'll have a bubble and you won't have to worry about it. And then the financing didn't come together. And suddenly it was 2 years later before we actually made it. But, we talked about it for 2 years. And, I'd thrown together some early Photoshop renderings with my team and kind of presented them to David and Nathan, the directors. And it's the usual kind of creature design process for that sort of thing. And we were pretty much on the exact same page right from the start for what we were thinking. So, over time it was like because it was on and off. Oh, we're going to start. We're not going to start. Oh, something fell through. Blah blah blah. We'd kind of started meeting with the actors and getting life casts and the usual again, so we can work on their forms and bodies and faces and whatnot.
Mhm.
And so we kind of collected all these things over the course of that 2 years, and then it seemed like it was going to fall apart again. And our original female, who wasn't Riley, she'd bowed out because she thought it wasn't going to happen and took another job. And then Riley was kind of a last minute addition that was like 3 weeks before we went to camera. And yeah, and then kind of the schedule got dictated by her schedule, as I understood it, which was she had another project to go to. It was like 3 days after we wrapped. So we ended up just hit the floor running and had about 6 weeks to pull the whole thing
Mhm.
together, the whole movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Jesse and Riley, were they completely on board to do whatever was needed of them? Because I mean, these characters do some wild things, let's just say.
Yeah. I mean, yes, they were. And I mean, funny enough, I mean, Riley's the one who wanted to really push to keep the road scene, which seems to be the one that's the most out there for most people.
Hmm.
Um, and I know there was some questions of, do we keep it? Do we not keep it? And she was like, don't you dare take it out, so but Jesse was, he was great. They were both great, with the makeup. But Jesse kind of looked at it as that was the challenge of the part, was getting into all this and experiencing this and being out in the wilderness and not ideal conditions, not on a sound stage, no air conditioning. I mean, we're just out, and if it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside or if it's freezing outside, it didn't matter. We did both, and it was what it was, and they dealt with it.
And how do the actors actually get into the costumes? It looks like maybe they put it over their head and then does something come up from below as well?
Well, the from the neck down, I mean, we kind of consider that a costume. I mean, it's a bodysuit that goes on like a wetsuit, and hands and feet and all that stuff are separate. But the whole from the collarbones up, it's all glued down prosthetics. There's a back of the headpiece and a face and lower chin and lip and all lace pieces, all for all the hair and stuff on the face. It's all knotted human hair lace pieces. So it started as about a 2 hour process to put them together, and kind of whittles down the more times you do it. And we were doing it 6 days a week. So yeah,
Mm.
got it a fair bit faster. And Riley had just had her child at the time and was anxious to get home. And so she'd come in a little bit. I mean, she'd come in with everybody else, but it was kind of like she's got other things on her mind with the
Yeah.
baby. And so I was applying hers, and I actually had that down to under an hour by the end of it. Like just go, 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 boom, boom, and make the most of it.
And so there's four main Sasquatches. And how do you go about making sure they each stand apart from each other? Do they have little quirks to them that people may notice when they watch it?
Yeah, I mean, certainly Nathan, who's one of our directors. I mean, he's the alpha, and he was kind of the stereotypical kind of brutish, the mean one, shall we say? I mean, the villain of the story. I mean, sort of, and we gave him more the stereotypical Sasquatch look that's been done for years in jerky commercials and horror films and all the other stuff that are out there, which is just a little bit more angry face, angry browed, whatever, that sort of thing. But we did want to have unique looks for all of them that fit their personality. I mean, Riley is kind of she's the one holding everything together, right? She's kind of the stereotypical female character, unfortunately, that's like kind of, I mean, even in their society, it's she's kind of beaten and battered and just like, how am I going to keep these clowns alive? So I mean, we wanted to have that kind of just drained and tired and everything look to her. And I mean, so all of these things were characteristics. Christoph, who's the child, we did larger sculpted forms around his eyes to make his eyes appear larger. It's that sort of thing. So there are sculptural things going on. But I mean, ultimately, it's like each one has slightly different personas that are written in the scripts that we just kind of took those ideas and kind of translated them into the sculpting for the facial structure. So like our guy here, he's supposed to be the inquisitive one, I mean, he's and you see that in the movie. He's always trying to learn to count, and he's the intellectual, the poet, whatever you want to call it. And it's just kind of like, we didn't want to make him look too smart, but we didn't want to make him look too dumb either. So
He needs to stay away from logs.
logs, yes.
What can you tell us about the little baby Sasquatch that was so cute? Was this, it looks like at some points it was animatronic and other points maybe a puppet. Was there different versions?
Well, there was kind of our stunt version. I mean, they were basically built in the trailer because our prep schedule is so compressed. But there was our stunt version that just kind of got dragged around. And I mean, it's kind of funny to watch it because I mean, I've heard it from a number of people. It's like, oh, she's just kind of, and it's like, well, go watch a chimpanzee, and that's kind of how they carry their babies around. They're not like humans. But then there was a mechanical version as well that had movement, and it was intended to be and was occasionally rod puppeted, but actually Riley kind of jumped in as she would carry it, and as it was breastfeeding her, that sort of thing. She would actually get in there and just kind of subtly manipulate the legs, the arms to give it a little bit more life, and then from chest up, it was mechanical. So we'd get this for again the feeding, like the sucking thing, and head movement and that sort of thing. But it was a little limited just based on the fact that again it had to be built in the trailer just on the prep schedule we had. So
and the characters, they're, I mean, head to toe covered in hair. Where do you source so much hair? Like where does this come from?
Well, the heads are all human hair, and they're just built the way any wig would be built. We'd done the sculptures and taken little molds of the sculptures and castings of them, and knotted up these things one hair at a time, like you would any wig that's custom made. And the bodies are it's a combination of yak hair and synthetic and a few different things that are mixed together. There's a company in the States that makes the stuff. It's NFT, National Fiber Technologies. And then a lot of the chest hair is also human hair that's punched.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the eyes because I imagine you have to spend a lot of time to make sure, because like unless I'm mistaken, the eyes are the only thing of the actor that we actually get to see. So how do you work around that with the makeup and the prosthetics?
Yeah, I mean, well, that was a discussion we had really early on about, like, I mean, if we're going to cover these guys completely, we don't want to lose all the human in them, and the emotion, and so much of the performance. If you're getting these actors who are there to perform, don't lose the eyes. It's the window to the soul, so to speak. So it's like we didn't want to go to contact lenses or anything like that. So we knew it was going to be their eyes, and so it's like the prosthetics are just sculpted right up to the waterline of the eye and right down under the brow, and yeah. So when they're applied, they're just it's the normal process for prosthetics. Just kind of get right in there and just carefully work it around their eyes into the wrinkles are in there naturally. And yeah, hopefully you don't see it.
Yeah. And well, Steve, thank you so much for chatting with us. Are we ever going to see a sequel, Sasquatch
Oh, I don't
Sunset
know.
2?
We'll have the abominable snowman or something. Yeah, I don't know. That's a Nathan and David question.
All right. Well, we'll see you at the round table in a little bit.
Thank you.